Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Debbie Reynolds was a beloved American actress, singer, and dancer whose career spanned over 6 decades, leaving a lasting legacy in film, television, and stage. Known for her radiant charm, energetic performances, and resilience both on and off screen, Reynolds became one of Hollywood's most enduring stars. Early life. Debbie Reynolds was born Mary Frances Reynolds on April 1, 1932. In El Paso, Texas. Her family moved to Burbank, California, during her childhood. At the age of 16, she won the Miss Burbank Beauty Contest in 1948, which caught the attention of Warner Brothers and led to her entry into the film industry. Rise to stardom. Reynolds' breakout role came in 1952 when she starred as Kathy Selden in Singin' in the Rain, opposite Gene Kelly and Donald O'Connor. Her spirited dancing, singing voice, and comic timing made her a standout, especially considering she had no formal dance training prior to the film. The role solidified her place as a rising star during Hollywood's golden age. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, Reynolds starred in a string of successful musical and comedic films, including Tammy and the Bachelor, 1957, which featured her hit song, Tammy, The Tender Trap, 1955, opposite Frank Sinatra, The Unsinkable Molly Brown, 1964. Earning her an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress, How the West Was Won, 1962, Goodbye Charlie, 1964, she became known for her wholesome image and vivacious screen presence, often playing the girl next door or spirited heroine. Personal life. Reynolds' personal life often drew as much public attention as her career. Her marriage to singer Eddie Fisher ended in scandal in 1959 when he left her for her friend Elizabeth Taylor. Despite this painful chapter, Reynolds handled the public fallout with dignity, which only increased her popularity. She had 2 children with Fisher, including Carrie Fisher, who would go on to become famous in her own right for her role as Princess Leia in Star Wars. The close and often complicated relationship between Reynolds and Carrie was the subject of public interest and was later documented in the Emmy-winning film Bright Lights, starring Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds, 2016. Later career and legacy. In her later years, Reynolds transitioned to television, voice acting, and stage work. She appeared in shows like Will and Grace, as Grace's mother, and voiced characters in animated series. She also starred in the Halloweentown Disney Channel movies, becoming a beloved figure to a new generation of fans. Off-screen, Reynolds was a passionate film historian. She collected thousands of pieces of Hollywood memorabilia, including costumes and props, which she hoped to house in a museum. Despite financial challenges, her dedication to preserving cinematic history was widely respected. Reynolds received numerous awards and honors over her lifetime, including the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences in 2015. Death. Tragically, Debbie Reynolds passed away on December 28, 2016. Just one day after the death of her daughter Carrie Fisher. She was 84. Her son, Todd Fisher, said that her final words were, "I want to be with Carrie." Their passing marked the end of an iconic Hollywood chapter, and they were laid to rest together. Debbie Reynolds remains an enduring symbol of Hollywood's golden age, a multi-talented entertainer known for her grace, humor, and indomitable spirit both in front of the camera and in her personal life. Debbie Reynolds' legacy extends far beyond her most famous roles, with a career defined by versatility, strength, and an unwavering commitment to the arts. Her journey through show business reflects not only the glitz and glamour of classic Hollywood but also the personal costs and triumphs experienced behind the scenes. Stage and Broadway success. In addition to her film and television work, Reynolds had a vibrant stage career. She starred in Broadway productions such as Irene, 1973, which earned her a Tony Award nomination and marked her triumphant debut on the New York stage. The production was a major box office success and reintroduced Reynolds to a younger audience. She also performed in Las Vegas and toured with her cabaret act across the country, showcasing her singing and storytelling talents well into her later years. Reynolds had a natural rapport with live audiences, and her performances were often laced with humor, Hollywood anecdotes, and heartfelt tributes to her peers. Business and personal challenges. While Debbie Reynolds was successful professionally, she faced significant financial hardship due to failed business ventures and costly divorces. One of her major losses came from a Las Vegas hotel she purchased in the 1990s, which she hoped would include a Hollywood memorabilia museum. The venture ultimately failed, leading to bankruptcy in 1997. Despite these setbacks, Reynolds never gave up on her dream of preserving Hollywood history. Her vast personal collection included iconic items such as Marilyn Monroe's white dress from The 7-Year Itch, costumes from The Wizard of Oz, and Charlie Chaplin's bowler hat. Though she was forced to auction off much of the collection later in life, her efforts to protect these artifacts were widely praised. Relationship with Carrie Fisher. Debbie Reynolds and her daughter Carrie Fisher shared a deeply emotional, complex, and ultimately loving relationship. They often clashed due to their strong personalities and the pressures of fame, particularly as Carrie struggled with addiction and mental health issues. Yet in their later years, they grew closer than ever, developing a deep mutual understanding and admiration. Their mother-daughter dynamic became public through interviews, memoirs like Fisher's Wishful Drinking, and the documentary Bright Lights, starring Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds. The film, which premiered shortly before their deaths, is now regarded as a poignant farewell to both women and a powerful exploration of family, fame, and love. Awards and honors. Debbie Reynolds received many accolades during her lifetime, including a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Screen Actors Guild in 2015, the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award from the Academy, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, earned in 1960, numerous honors from arts organizations for her dedication to film preservation. She was also recognized for her humanitarian efforts, including support for mental health awareness, children's hospitals, and veterans' causes. Cultural impact. Reynolds represented the epitome of the American sweetheart in post-war cinema, radiating positivity and innocence during an era that often emphasized wholesomeness. Yet behind her cheerful persona was a woman of grit and fortitude who survived scandal, heartbreak, financial loss, and personal grief with grace and tenacity. Her role as a custodian of Hollywood's past made her especially beloved among cinephiles and historians. She became a bridge between generations, a link to the glamour of yesteryear and a reminder of the personal sacrifices that often come with public success. Debbie Reynolds will always be remembered as a shining light of classic Hollywood, a powerhouse performer, a resilient survivor, and a loving mother. Her joy, charisma, and timeless performances continue to inspire new audiences, proving that her spirit, like the music she danced to in Singin' in the Rain, will never fade. Certainly, Debbie Reynolds' life was a rich tapestry of entertainment, resilience, and reinvention. She was not only a symbol of classic Hollywood glamour, but also a fiercely independent woman who navigated the often harsh realities of the entertainment industry with humor, dignity, and strength. Early film career. From bit parts to breakthrough after being signed by Warner Brothers at age 16, Reynolds' earliest roles were small and often uncredited, such as in June Bride, 1948. But her potential was quickly recognized, and she was soon picked up by MGM, where she was groomed for stardom alongside other young contract players. Her youthful spirit and comedic energy made her stand out in early musicals like 2 Weeks with Love, 1950, where her performance of the song Abba Dabba Honeymoon with Carlton Carpenter became a hit. This success led directly to her casting in Singin' in the Rain, 1952. Despite having little formal dance experience, Gene Kelly was initially skeptical of her abilities. But she trained rigorously, at one point dancing so hard that her feet bled, and ultimately delivered one of the most iconic performances in musical film history. Versatility across genres. Though best known for musicals and comedies, Reynolds proved adept in a wide range of genres. In the romantic drama Susan Slept Here, 1954, she played a juvenile delinquent in a role that earned her a Golden Globe nomination. She was also praised for her performance in The Catered Affair, 1956, a gritty kitchen sink drama in which she starred opposite Bette Davis. This role showcased her dramatic chops and broke her out of the ingenue mold. Later in her career, she took on character roles in films such as Mother, 1996, a sharp comedy written and directed by Albert Brooks, in which Reynolds played a neurotic yet endearing mother, earning her critical acclaim. In and Out, 1997, playing the supportive and quirky mother of Kevin Kline's character. The Halloweentown series, 1998 to 2006, where she charmed younger audiences as the lovable witch grandmother, Aggie Cromwell. Television legacy. In television, Reynolds made dozens of appearances throughout the decades. In the 1960s, she starred in The Debbie Reynolds Show, a sitcom that earned her a Golden Globe nomination. Although it lasted only one season, it further cemented her place in American pop culture. In her later years, she had recurring roles and guest appearances in popular series including Will and Grace, 1999 to 2006, as Bobby Adler, Grace's flamboyant mother, a performance that brought her renewed attention and earned her an Emmy nomination. The Golden Girls, Roseanne, Family Guy, and many TV movies, which introduced her to newer generations of viewers. Author and memoirist Debbie Reynolds was also a gifted storyteller. She published multiple memoirs, including Debbie, My Life 1988, an early autobiography recounting her rise to fame and personal tribulations. Unsinkable, a memoir, 2013, a frank and humorous account of her life, named in reference to her role as Molly Brown. Make 'Em Laugh, 2015, filled with personal anecdotes, Hollywood gossip, and reflections on aging and survival in the entertainment business. These books revealed a woman who was deeply honest about her struggles with love, fame, and finances, but who always met life's challenges with optimism and wit. Final years. An enduring bond with Carrie Fisher. The final years of Reynolds' life were marked by her deepening bond with daughter Carrie Fisher. After years of emotional distance caused by Fisher's struggles with addiction and mental health, they became neighbors in Beverly Hills and were often seen together in public. Their love and mutual respect were on full display in Bright Lights, starring Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds, a candid and moving HBO documentary released just after their deaths. The film became a heartfelt eulogy for both women, capturing their wit, vulnerability, and deep familial love. Reynolds' passing just one day after Fisher's death stunned the world. It seemed tragically poetic, as if her heart simply couldn't endure the loss. Legacy. Debbie Reynolds' impact on American culture is vast. She helped define the golden era of movie musicals. She was a pioneer in preserving film history and memorabilia. She broke ground for female performers in business and on stage. She showed immense strength in the face of public heartbreak and personal tragedy. Her legacy lives on in her films, in her family, especially through the continued cultural resonance of Carrie Fisher, and in the affection of fans who continue to admire her joyful energy and tenacious spirit. Debbie Reynolds will always be remembered as more than just a star. She was a survivor, a storyteller, and a symbol of timeless Hollywood charm. Hollywood historian and preservationist Debbie Reynolds had a deep love and reverence for Hollywood history, not just her own, but the collective legacy of the film industry. In the 1970s, as MGM was liquidating its vast costume and prop collection, Reynolds began purchasing iconic memorabilia. While many studios at the time saw these items as disposable, she understood their historical value. Her collection eventually included more than 3,500 costumes and 20,000 photographs, scripts, and props. Some of the highlights were Marilyn Monroe's white dress from the 7-Year Itch, Judy Garland's ruby slippers, and Dorothy's dress from The Wizard of Oz, Elizabeth Taylor's costumes from Cleopatra, Charlie Chaplin's bowler hat, and Kane Reynolds envisioned a permanent Hollywood museum. And although the project never fully materialized, her efforts are still credited with saving countless artifacts that would have otherwise been lost. When financial pressures forced her to auction off parts of the collection in 2011 and 2014, many of the pieces fetched millions, underscoring their historical and emotional value. Humanitarian and advocate outside of show business, Debbie Reynolds was known for her philanthropic work and advocacy. She was especially devoted to causes related to mental health. Influenced by her daughter Carrie Fisher's public struggles with bipolar disorder, she supported organizations like the Thalians, a mental health charity that she was closely involved with for decades, serving as president and organizing celebrity fundraisers. AIDS research and awareness, particularly during the 1980s and 1990s when few celebrities were willing to speak openly about it. Children's hospitals and veteran services, where she made frequent visits and contributions. Reynolds received multiple honors for her charitable work, including the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award in 2015, a rare and prestigious Oscar given for outstanding contributions to humanitarian causes. Romantic struggles and resilience. Reynolds' private life was often marked by emotional pain, especially in her marriages. Eddie Fisher, 1955 to 1959, the Hollywood golden couple. Their marriage ended in scandal when Fisher left Reynolds for Elizabeth Taylor. The betrayal became a media sensation, but Reynolds handled it with grace, earning public sympathy and admiration. Harry Carle, 1960 to 1973, a wealthy shoe magnate who lost Reynolds money, including her children's trust funds, through gambling and poor investments. The financial fallout devastated her but didn't break her. Richard Hamlet, 1984 to 1996, her third husband, whose involvement in her Las Vegas hotel venture ended with Reynolds declaring bankruptcy. This marked yet another public hardship she faced head-on. Despite the heartbreak, she remained open-hearted and humorous. In her later memoirs and interviews, she often joked about her unlucky romantic choices with typical Reynolds wit. Relationship with Hollywood legends. Throughout her long career, Debbie Reynolds worked with and befriended some of the most iconic figures in the business. Her relationships and rivalries helped define a generation. Elizabeth Taylor, once close friends. Their bond was broken by the Eddie Fisher scandal but later repaired. The two women eventually reconciled, even sharing stories about how they grew to laugh about their tabloid past. Gene Kelly. Though their relationship during Singin' in the Rain was professionally tense, Reynolds later praised his demanding standards for helping her grow as a performer. Donald O'Connor, Frank Sinatra, Betty Davis, Fred Astaire, and countless others shared the screen with her or admired her work. Her connection to Judy Garland was also notable. Both were MGM musical stars and mothers of famous daughters. And both experienced struggles behind the scenes that mirrored the highs and lows of showbiz. Final days and cultural farewell. The death of Debbie Reynolds on December 28, 2016. Just one day after Carrie Fisher passed away, was mourned globally. The public saw it as both heartbreaking and poetic, a mother following her daughter in the most profound expression of love. At their joint memorial service, Reynolds' son, Todd Fisher, reflected on how deeply bonded the two were. "She didn't die of a broken heart. She just left to be with Carrie." Their story, one of generational fame, personal struggle, and fierce maternal love, became the subject of retrospectives, books, and films, inspiring discussions about family, mental health, and legacy. A timeless icon, Debbie Reynolds' impact remains profound. She preserved the magic of old Hollywood not just through performance but through historic preservation. She bridged generations, appealing to audiences from the Golden Age to Disney Channel kids. She broke barriers for women in entertainment, business, and advocacy, long before it became a cultural trend. And she endured. Through scandal, loss, heartbreak, and hardship, she endured. Her voice, her smile, her laugh, all remain indelible in the minds of those who watched her dance in the rain or comfort a grandchild in Halloweentown. Debbie Reynolds was, and is, a treasure. Public image. America's sweetheart during the 1950s and early 1960s, Debbie Reynolds was frequently dubbed America's sweetheart. This was not merely due to her physical charm or girl-next-door beauty, but because she radiated a wholesome, spirited energy that audiences found irresistible. She portrayed characters who were optimistic in the face of adversity, moral without being self-righteous, funny, often the comedic foil to male leads, loving, yet independent-minded. Her reputation stood in stark contrast to some of her more glamorous or scandal-prone contemporaries. She wasn't a bombshell like Marilyn Monroe, or a brooding actress like Elizabeth Taylor. Instead, she carved out a niche with her radiant likability and tireless work ethic, the all-American girl, who just so happened to have a world-class singing voice and a comedic spark. Debbie Reynolds and dance. A hard-won skill, though often remembered for her incredible dancing in Singin' in the Rain, Reynolds was not a trained dancer when she took the role at age 19. Gene Kelly, a perfectionist, was known to be tough on her during rehearsals. Reynolds later described the experience as the hardest thing I ever did. To meet the demands of the choreography, she trained 6 to 8 hours a day, sometimes under the tutelage of Fred Astaire himself. Her tireless dedication is now part of film lore. She once remarked, "The two hardest things I ever did in my life were childbirth and Singin' in the Rain." Today, her transformation from a non-dancer to a dazzling musical star in that film is considered one of the most remarkable behind-the-scenes stories in Hollywood history. Friendships and influence on future generations. In her later years, Reynolds became a mentor and friend to younger generations of performers. Many stars praised her for her humility, generosity, and wisdom. Her influence could be felt among actresses like Kristin Chenoweth and Kristen Bell, who admired Reynolds' stage versatility. Anne Hathaway, who cited Reynolds as an influence during the promotion of Les Miserables. Billie Lourd, Carrie Fisher's daughter and Reynolds' granddaughter, who now continues the family's showbiz legacy. Debbie was also frequently invited to award shows, tributes, and industry events as a guest of honor, where she was treated with reverence by the Hollywood community. Her voice and musical career. While best known for her acting, Debbie Reynolds also had a successful recording career. Her singing voice was sweet, clear, and effortlessly melodic, perfect for the pop standards and sentimental ballads of the 1950s. Her biggest musical hit was Tammy, 1957, from the film Tammy and the Bachelor. It became a #1 single on the Billboard charts and sold over 1 million copies. The song earned her a gold record and an Academy Award nomination for Best Original Song. She released several albums over her lifetime and often performed standards and show tunes in her cabaret and Las Vegas shows. Her live performances blended humor, nostalgia, and emotional storytelling. They were less about showing off and more about connecting with people. Her faith and strength. Reynolds was a lifelong Methodist and credited her faith with helping her endure the many challenges she faced: failed marriages, financial loss, public scandal, and personal grief. Her resilience became a defining part of her public identity. She never pretended her life was perfect, but she always believed in facing hardship with grace and optimism. As she put it, "I gave it all that I had." And it's gratifying that others now want to preserve that effort. Her strength inspired countless fans, especially women, who saw in Reynolds a model of poise, persistence, and unapologetic ambition. Burial and memorial. Debbie Reynolds and Carrie Fisher were laid to rest together at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California, a famous cemetery that is also the resting place of many Hollywood greats. In a fitting symbol of their close bond, they share a burial space. A joint public memorial was held in March 2017, featuring tributes from friends and family, archival clips, and a final performance from Reynolds' friend and fellow star James Blunt, who wrote a song specifically about Carrie and Debbie. Famous quotes by Debbie Reynolds. Here are a few memorable quotes that capture her wit, humor, and philosophy. "Hurt me once, shame on you. Hurt me twice, shame on me. I want to sing and dance. Why not? If it makes you happy, do it. Am I angry? You bet. But I'm also strong. And I'm still standing. You have to laugh. You have to keep going. I never stop loving anyone. People change, but my love doesn't." Conclusion. A legend with heart. Debbie Reynolds was not just a movie star, she was a symbol of endurance, a guardian of Hollywood's memory, and a beloved mother who faced unimaginable pain with unwavering poise. She danced through decades of cultural change, never losing her sparkle or her authenticity. Her films continue to charm. Her songs still delight. And her life, full of joy, struggle, and perseverance, continues to inspire. Dove posthumous impact. A dual farewell.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.